Your teenage child has been diagnosed with functional neurological disorder, short for FND, and you as a parent are feeling upset because you feel guilty and awful about doing nothing and watching your child suffer and struggle during FND episode, maybe afterwards as well. And when I say FND episode, these are seizure-like symptoms, fainting and falling, and arms and legs and flaring and moving in all kinds of directions. And then you're terrified if your child is going to fall and crack their head open or have some serious injury. If that's you, keep watching. Hi, I'm Dr. Lee here, pediatric health psychologist and teen FND specialist. I have helped hundreds and hundreds of teens who's been struggling with FND just like your child, going from debilitated and helpless and lifeless to not only got their lives back, but thriving in their lives to be a successful individual. So today's video is all about parents' common reactions with teen FND episode, what usually doctors tell you, and what to do about it. So let's get started. So once again, I'm going to start with this. What is FND? You might know this already. Just in case, FND has so many different names, but it is an umbrella term to describe these cross-wired problems between your child's brain and body when your child's brain and body are looking A-okay. It is a real diagnosis. Your child's not making things up. And it is oddly very common diagnosis in neurology clinic, especially since the pandemic. There are so many reasons behind it, and FND is not just one thing that is causing, it is a biopsychosocial phenomenon. I have tons of videos talking about what that is, so check them out. And also, teen FND and adult FND are not necessarily the same thing. So if the doctor is insisting that your child's FND is absolutely stress, trauma, anxiety, and if they're like harping on that, then usually that means they have more knowledge about adult FND. Because adult FND, the majority of cases are coming from childhood trauma, adverse event, things like that. However, with the teen FND, that's like less than half the case. So they're not necessarily the same thing. At the same time, teen FND, if you catch them enough and start the healing journey sooner, then the chances of getting better 100% is very, very high, as opposed to adult FND. It takes a hot minute for them to get better. So here's a typical scenario. Let's just say your teen has been struggling with these mysterious symptoms, whether it's a seizure-like symptoms or fainting or legs not working, so your child cannot walk and things like that. And then you as a parent, of course, you care for your child. Therefore, you are likely to take your child to at least urgent care, but more likely an ER, because this is like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? We got to take my child to ER. And then you get a diagnosis of FND and the doctor tells you this. That is if the doctor knows what they're talking about, meaning they have a good understanding of FND, which is kind of rare. But just for the sake of conversation, that's the case. And then doctor will tell you this. Business as usual. Do not react to your child's FND episode. In fact, let the child manage the symptoms on their own. And you as a parent are getting so upset and having very strong emotions and then thinking, how dare you? How could I let my child suffer and struggle and become pale and fainting and falling and have this serious injury? How could I let that happen? That is absolutely not the case. I couldn't let that happen. Therefore, nobody knows what they're talking about and no one can help me or my child. Well, this usually leads to sort of like you being kind of like a homeless in the medical system because you have a hard time trusting the doctor and you feel very guilty about just letting your child do their own thing because struggling is very clear to your eyes. And here's a problem, or at least potential problem. If you don't know what exactly FND is just yet, then you are likely to follow your own instinct and intuition as a parent who is very caring and dedicated. Therefore, it doesn't make sense of what doctors are saying because the healing journey for FND is very, very different from your own natural instinct as a parent. And in fact, a lot of strategies that are very effective are straight up counterintuitive. That's why it takes a lot of time for many parents to wrap their mind around and then be on board with, oh, this actually feels odd and weird, but it actually makes sense. So I'm going to tell you what that is. Number one, well, first of all, you really have to know what FND is once your child is diagnosed. And number two, accepting the treatment methodology or healing journey for FND is very, very different and counterintuitive a lot of times. But logically, it'll make sense if the providers were to walk you through how this is related and linked to the resolution of FND. So things like business as usual, right? Don't pay attention to FND episode. In fact, if you continue to pay attention and do something actively to help your child get out of the FND episode, then yes, in that moment, you're feeling better because you are doing something effective. However, what's happening in the end is you're taking the power away and out of your child, because the more your child can do on their own to manage the symptoms with skills and strategies and plan, the better. And so one of the things that you can do as a parent is to slowly but systematically going back to daily functioning level, just like business as usual. It sounds kind of cruel and counterintuitive, but it is really. The faster you can get back to the daily business as usual, the better. However, the caveat is your child also needs to learn the strategies to manage the symptoms. So strategies, what do they include? Broadly speaking, because there are tons of them, broadly speaking though, a lot of autonomic nervous system regulation strategies. Now I have a lot of videos about it in my channel. Planning to return to school and pacing for their activities and working on the mindset. Not so much of think positive per se, but what's going through their mind before, during, and after the symptoms happen, and how much attention are they drawing into on top of your attention being drawn to FND. All of those things are very, very helpful tools and strategies that your child needs to learn while you guys are returning to business as usual. And mostly when your child is diagnosed with FND, many doctors basically will say, go see a therapist, CBT, cognitive behavior therapy. That's it. Well, you can't just go see a regular therapist. That's the other problem. It's almost like your child is having a cavity and then you're taking your child to a family physician or general surgeon. Well, they may or may not be able to help your child, but really what you need to find is a dentist, for a cavity, right? Special problem, specialist. Same thing. FND is a special problem, and FND specialist is a specialist for the specific problem, which is the FND. So if you're feeling upset as a parent, I get it, because that really means you care for your child and you sincerely want your child to get better. I hear you. I have worked with hundreds of teens and the parents through this journey. And believe it or not, parents, you have a huge influence on your child towards recovery of FND. So don't wait. Your child needs your leadership. And more importantly, for you parents, you also need to work on addressing your own emotional reactions, having this instinct to do something active to help your child, because you basically have to resist the temptation to do something active and follow your intuition when it comes to FND. Now, I have tons of free resources down in the description box below, and you also have access to a couple of websites that has a list of providers, including pediatric health psychologists like me, who is specialized in FND treatment. I hope this video was helpful for you to get some insight about how FND can be treated, and you play a crucial role in your child's recovery. But that does not include you being actively doing something to help the child in that moment. Well, thank you so much for watching this video, and let me know in the comments below what your experience has been, what doctors told you and your child, and then what you have been doing that's been helpful. I want to engage in the conversation. Well, thank you again, and I'll see you in the next video.